I see you're wearing the ascot.
Yes.
Is that in support of Roland Martin? Because I like it. It's nice.
Who the hell is Roland Martin?
You gotta be kidding me.
From Washington, D.C., Roland Martin, good morning.
Tom, simple guy, good morning. Big ups to Mike Espy for a great campaign running for senator in Mississippi. Looking at the numbers, of course, he lost. Sidney Hyde-Smith got 474,471 votes. He got 405,486. That's with 99% of all precincts reporting. And if you look at that, that means that he lost by 68,985 votes. He told me he needed 500,000 votes to win, and he was on point with that. We're still, crunching those numbers. In a lot of places, black people exceeded the turnout on November 6th. But the reality is this here. You still have 800,000 eligible and registered black folks in the state of Mississippi. And a good number of folks did not vote yesterday. Also, of course, he was expecting a bigger white turnout as well. So we're still looking at these county by county. Some good news. There were about 3 or 4 counties that Trump won in 2016 that Espy won last night. And so again, looking at that, and the point that I've always said is that the issue for us is we have to turn out in much massive numbers. Think back to Harold Washington in 1983. You have to have that literally where you have 85% black turnout consistently to overcome white numbers. And why does that matter? It matters because now Republicans control a 53 to 47 majority in the United States Senate. And why do they prefer to have the Senate instead of the U.S. House? Because the Senate, that's where the federal judicial confirmations take place. And for instance, there's one that's coming up for a vote this week that shows what happens when Republicans are in charge. Thomas Farr is considered the vote suppressor-in-chief, led the voter suppression effort in North Carolina, appointed to the federal bench there after Republicans blocked 2 black women who President Barack Obama appointed to that particular seat. Joining us right now is Kristen Clarke, the leader of the Laws Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. And Kristen, this is a perfect example of you listen to Republicans like Lindsey Graham, like Ben Sass, and like Jeff Flake, who criticized Trump. But guess what? All 3 of them are members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. All 3 of them voted Thomas Farr out of committee. And the question is, will a Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the United States Senate, will there be one other Republican who has the guts to say this man does not belong on the federal bench?
That's right. I mean, Thomas Farr is not like some of the other nominees that we've seen. This guy is a real outlier. And any senator that would vote for Farr is clearly casting a vote in favor of voter suppression. Thomas Farr is a lawyer from North Carolina who has spent his entire career as the hired gun for anyone who seeks to suppress the black vote in North Carolina. He worked with the Jesse Helms campaign at a time when the campaign was investigated by the Justice Department for sending out postcards to black voters. Black voters were targeted under this scheme, and it was aimed at intimidating. It was a tactic that sought to intimidate black voters. Just yesterday, a new memo was released by the Justice Department that makes clear that Thomas Farr's fingerprints are all over that Jesse Helms scheme. When Farr testified during the Senate, he tried to distance himself from this tactic. He claimed that he didn't know much about it, but the Justice Department memo that was revealed yesterday describes him as the architect of this voter suppression effort, both in 1990 and 1984. Today, this nomination should be pulled. It's critical that the Senate stop this nomination and look at the new information, the new evidence that's set forth in that Justice Department memo. It makes clear that he is somebody who can't be entrusted with the responsibility of being fair and independent. If anyone brings a voting rights case before him and he's the one sitting on the bench, you know that he will always side on with voter suppression. He will always side with those who are seeking to silence African American voters.
And just so folks understand, again, President Barack Obama appointed 2 black women to this position. Both were blocked by Republicans. They were blocked by both Republican U.S. Senators Barr and Tillis, and one of them used to be a member of the North Carolina State Supreme Court, and so they wanted this position. Am I correct, Christian? Is the longest open seat on the federal bench.
That's true. It's also a district that's 27% African American, and they've never had an African American judge serve in this district. And the 2 women that you mentioned, Jennifer May Parker and Patricia Timmons Goodson, are outstanding. They are highly qualified, and they never got an opportunity to be heard because of
never even a hearing. Never even a
That's
hearing.
Right. That's right.
What do you want folks to do when it because obviously the Senate is going to vote? Who specifically should folks be calling? Because all 49 Democrats have said they are voting against Thomas Farr.
Yeah, Senator Scott would be key. I mean, this is our African American senator from a neighboring state in South Carolina, and he serves in a state where voter suppression, as is the case in North Carolina, has been rampant. He is somebody who should care about the new information revealed last night through this Justice Department memo. But frankly, we should reach out to every senator.
And he previously, just so folks know, that was somebody who was appointed to the federal bench, and when he weighed in, it forced other Republicans to say, I'm not going to vote for this person as well. So Senator Tim Scott holds sway, Christian, over other Republicans when it comes to some of these nominees.
That's right. Look, a vote for Farr is a vote for voter suppression. We need to preserve our courts. We need to stamp out white supremacy. And this Thomas Farr nomination must fail. I hope that people will speak out. Call the Senate this morning at 202-224-3121 and tell them to stop Farr.
All right. Definitely call the office of Senator Tim Scott, because his vote, I believe, is the critical vote to stop Thomas Farr.
Come on, Brother Scott. Come on.
That's right.
All right, Roland.
Kristen Clarke, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kristen.
Keep fighting, Tom. We got to keep fighting.
Roland, you right.